All right, it's Saturday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Veronica Dan Ikboy, and as usual, I am not here alone. I have my beautiful ladies here with me in the studio. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
It's good to see you. It's good to see you, Mrs. Fash, again. It's been a while. How have you been doing?
So well. I missed you ladies, seriously.
Aww.
Yeah, I've been doing well. It's been engaging. We're wrapping up the session, so as you would imagine, everybody wants to finish well. So, no, these days, nobody gets to repeat. It wasn't like before that.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be scared that maybe my child will repeat. But we're doing well. Thank you for asking.
Right. Damola, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Veronica. I'm excited for the new week.
Absolutely.
And over the weekend, my son turned 13.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
so it was beautiful to see. I had mixed emotions.
A teenager.
Exactly. It's like, this boy is now a teenager.
Yeah.
And it just gave me, I reflected a bit to see if I had been a good mom. And yeah, from all the reviews I've been getting from school and his interactions with his friends, yeah, it gave me that reassurance that I've actually been doing a good job.
You've been doing a good job.
Yeah, and I'm looking
Congratulations.
forward to the next 13 years. Thank
Well
you.
done.
Yeah.
Toby, how have you been?
Fine, thank you. My week was beautiful. It was great. And so one of the things that happened last week for me was that my business got NAFDAC approval for 3 new products. And we've been on it for a while. So when they called me to say it was ready, and I went there and they were like, we can't find your file. Like, you must find this. And so by the time it came out, I was so grateful. I was so grateful knowing the potential of what a NAFDAC approval for your business or for new products can do. And then second thing was that my children started a new business also this week. Yeah, so now they're asking for job experience. Yeah, so they started a peeled beans business and packaged, ready to be, we're not even taking this slowly. No, like peeled beans for akara beans.
I know, I was asking if
Yes,
they did the peeling.
It's for sale now.
I know.
Did they get to feel it?
Yeah, in the process.
They're the owners of the company.
That's good.
Right. Well, for me, it's been today, before I go to how my week was, is my father-in-law's birthday. Reverend Daniel Ikboy, today is his birthday. He's been an amazing, amazing father. He's no longer a father-in-law. He's a father to me. I lost my dad some years ago. And he's stood in there. He's been there supporting all the way. In fact, he's the first Nigerian that I met that doesn't relate with his children like the normal father would. He relates with his children like they are friends. And he takes you as his daughter because he doesn't have girls. So we, the wives, are his daughters, and he treats us beautifully well. God bless and keep you, sir.
Amen.
Well, for my week was an eventful one, right? Having to have conversations around issues that are really concerning. And events here and there. Again, traffic was another thing. But above all, it's good to have a platform where you can speak to issues, basically. And that was what it was for me this week, having to speak with certain persons that touch on some social issues that we shy away from. And one of it is talking about the environment, how it is that we are going through climate change, and not much is seen to be done, but it is good to see that the president has declared a state of emergency with regards to some of these issues. Food security, climate change is one of the issues that is affecting matters of food security. We need to go on a break now. So when we return, we'll look through the newspaper headlines. To stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
All right, thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making the headlines on the front page of the newspapers. And we will begin with the Nation newspaper. And the major story here says food security. Stakeholders back emergency declaration IMF, that's the International Monetary Fund, lauds Tinubu on petrol subsidy removal palliatives. And another story here, Emefiele facing gun ammunition possession charges. Sources are saying this. Lagos court to pick judge for case next week. Another court voids suspended CBN governor's arrest. Now, 2 pilots survive as NAF trainer aircraft crashes in Makurdi. Air Force commences probe of crash. CBN revises tenure limit for bank executives to 12 years. Cumulative tenure limit for directors now 24 years. Interesting. Now, DISCOs move to increase electricity tariff. NERC, that's the Regulatory Commission for Electricity, to conduct public hearing on rates. Kogi Guba, Court of Appeal declines bail for suspects linked to SDP candidate. PEPC to deliver judgment same day on Atiku Obi APM election petition. That's the Presidential Election Petitions Court. Reserves decision on suit seeking Tinubu Shetima's sack. Who has what story on the nation here?
Yeah, I have a story there, and the headline says, Lagos School where fees are paid with empty plastic bottles. Parents' inability to pay 6,000 naira school fee gave rise to the idea, says the proprietor of the school. And the indigent kids attending the school said it has helped us to keep our dreams alive and staying away from crime. So this school is in Ajegunle, and most of the parents in that vicinity cannot afford to pay school fees for their children. And, Ajegunle is known for boys that are notorious. They're always looking for a way to make ends meet just because of the situation of things in that environment. And this proprietor decided to be creative to say, okay, if these parents do not have money to pay, we can actually get creative and they can pick plastic bottles that can be recycled, and then they can generate money from there to pay their school fees. And this just goes to show how resilient Nigerians can be. No matter the situation, Nigerians always have a way, to get things done. And these kids are appreciative of this effort to say that it has kept them away from crime. It has, helped them to, keep their hopes alive. And I just want to say kudos to that proprietor. And this is also helping us to, in line with what you said about environmental protection, getting these plastic bottles away from drainages will also help us to ensure that we keep the environment safe.
All right.
So it's killing, is it 2 birds with
one stone?
Exactly.
Okay, so I have this story still on the front page of the Nation newspaper talking about food security. Stakeholders backing emergency declaration by the president. Over the week, the president declared a state of emergency with regards to food security. Recall that last year we had flooding, and some of the farmlands were, swept away by the floods, and that affected our food security. And a lot of persons have been speaking with regards to that and how to ensure that we have food security for the growing population. And so the president declared a state of emergency, and that included that the initiative entails, among other things, according to the statement that came out, special purpose vehicles, especially the commodity board, to liberalize the food production value chain and the immediate activation of land banks across the country. And so a lot of persons are coming out to support this move by the president to declare a state of emergency and also bring some level of support to those who are playing in that sector. And so IMF is also lauding the fact that the president came out with some palliatives. Recall that a lot of persons have looked at the calculation, 8,000 naira for 6 months, and the IMF is lauding the president's efforts to that fact that there is a palliative to cushion the effect on the fuel subsidy removal. Any other story here?
Nation,
No. All right, we move now to the Saturday Punch. Labour experts fault Tinubu's 8,000 naira transfer to poor families. NLC, TUC, NUBIFE say past schemes didn't benefit Nigerians. Katsina, Ogun, Abia, Kwara, Ondo, others await federal government's decision on palliatives. Another story here says, I'm helping to build mosque in Ilorin. Ishese advocate speaking how boat passengers perish in rivers of death. That's a very pathetic story there. Another one here, UK hikes visa fees for Nigerians, others. Police sent me to 44-day jail over dog, Lagos hairstylist speaking. And sad reality of Nigerian entertainers beyond glamour. That's the story. Who has what story here?
I have a story on page...
Page 24?
24.
Yeah.
Yes. Talking about police sent me to 44-day jail over dog.
Very funny.
So it happened that this lady was just walking on the road, and the next thing she sees a dog with a woman and a child. And so she just chases the dog away, saying... A neighbor, yes, move, move, and all that. And the woman started saying, why would you speak to my dog like that? Why would you attack my dog and all that? Like play, like that was what happened. And so she went about her normal daily activities, and in the evening she went for a party, and then they were like, policemen were looking for her. She was like, what did she do? You know, and when she got to the station, she found out that her neighbor, Madam Ezine, had reported her to the police station.
For speaking to a dog.
A dog, actually. And so that was how she spent 44 days.
That's not funny.
In the cell.
It seems like there's something missing in the story.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
I think there's something missing
Because
in that
according to the because I think
yeah,
I saw
you saw the story too,
yes, the woman, that is the Mrs. Ezine, claimed that the lady poured sand on her dog. So there are some people that do not joke with their pets.
Yeah.
They don't joke with their pets. If you recall the Hilda Bassi story where, you know, they had like a dog dish and then there was a dog president. In fact, that was the first time I even knew that there was an association of dog owners.
Oh, yeah,
there is. And then they have a president who came out to say no, to defend the rights of, you know, dogs. Animals, animals also have rights.
Yes,
yeah.
they do.
So some of these pet owners, I'm not a...
But I think that's an extreme case.
Yes, 44 days, and she's
spending 44 days because you claim she poured sand on the dog. What happened to did the dog die?
The dog's eyes, or maybe the dog could not sniff again properly. You know, we need to ask.
And you know that there were court proceedings.
Yes,
there were court proceedings. At some point, people now found out that what was the issue exactly, and then, you know, they had to now pick up this Madam Ezine. Next thing, she says she's not going to go for the court proceedings. She wasn't going to report to anybody.
Because there is no case.
Yes, it was. I mean, the person who called them.
Yes, because there is no case.
And it is important for landlords to actually
quite
note.
pathetic.
You know, it is important for landlords to actually note, you know, clearly that pets are not allowed within a particular compound, because there are some people who like pets, some do not like pets.
And then in some estates in Nigeria.
Exactly. So there should be that clear rule to say that pets are not allowed here.
Yes.
So if anything happens to that pet, it is within your, it is your headache. It is your thing to worry about. You should not have to prosecute others.
I think she took it to an extreme, and it's just unfortunate that the lady in question did not have someone to defend her at the time, because if she had, she wouldn't have spent 44 days in detention, and something could have been done with regards to the Madam Ezine herself.
So that wouldn't have happened.
It was even
but is it in the case that the dog attacked her?
No, well, I don't know, but let's be,
I wonder
because of
how it
time,
was.
we need to quickly
Thank
go
you.
to another story. And I have one story inside the Punch newspaper talking about the use of nitrous oxide, talking about laughing gas, which has become another issue in the country. And now Drug Law Enforcement Agency has gone ahead to clamp down on those who are selling this nitrous oxide illegally. It's meant for medical use, for when you're having a surgical operation for teeth, whatever it is, that's what is used to deaden the area. But then we see that people, in trying to feel high and all of that, they are taking these things, they put it in balloons, and then they sniff it, and that's it. Now, the effect on the body yes, you are trying to enjoy yourself temporarily for a while, but then the effect is long-lasting.
I think that's a knowledge problem. People do not know.
Some people do
The
not
same way they
know.
abuse substances.
They constantly-
A lot of
substances.
people who abuse substances
They do.
know, sometimes no, but because they are looking for temporary solutions to issues.
they are
So
going
they
through.
seem fine.
Yes,
Wow.
a temporary solution is temporary, but the damage is long-lasting. That's what they do not understand,
So everybody should know.
unfortunately. So the NDLEA has gone ahead to clamp down on the users, on those who are selling, but there are those who are also calling for the fact that the NDLEA needs to work in collaboration with some of these celebrities
Exactly.
in the industry who glorify the use of some of these things
Substances, absolutely.
on their pages. So how they would do that is another
I
story
think they should
entirely.
declare drug use amongst Nigerian youths a national pandemic,
Right.
because it's really eating deep into
The fabric of the society, unfortunately.
Yes. And then you wonder, and then the way both men and women use it these days, unlike before, you would think, oh,
alarming.
women are very reserved, but
You'll be
now they're the
shocked.
ones championing these drug
Be
use.
shocked. We need to quickly go on a break. When we return, we'll continue looking through the pages of the papers. Just stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
All right, thank you for staying with us. We're still looking through the newspaper headlines, and this time we're going to the Saturday Sun. The major story here says senators, reps to spend 40 billion naira on SUVs. Akpabio, Abbas, Barrow, Benjamin Kalu to get bulletproof vehicles. Now, another story says illegal gold miners pollute Osun-Osogbo, Oyo, Ogun rivers with deadly chemicals. Contamination threatens UNESCO site, poses health hazards to Osun-Osogbo devotees, millions of others. Court of Appeal refuses bail applications of suspects linked to Kogi SDP Guba candidate. Ibadan. EFCC arrests ex-cybercrime convict, 54 others in major bust. 80 suspected cultists arrested in 4 months in Lagos. Amnesty for Boko Haram bandits. Northern groups gives Tinubu 2-week ultimatum. How federal government can tackle renewed killings in North, NEF, MBF, NAF trainer aircraft crashes in Makurdi. Now, Southeast lost 4 trillion naira to sit at home in 2 years. Benjamin Kalu, Deputy Speaker, House of Rep, is saying this. NDLEA intercepts 64,863 kilograms laughing gas consignment at Lagos Port, Imo. Who has what story here?
Okay, I have a story on page 11.
Yeah.
And the story goes on to say that private car owners ditch vehicles, embrace public transportation and keke. And so it was an interview of various people across Rivers State, Enugu State, and Lagos State. And this person was lamenting that normally he would fill his tank with 13,000 naira, but currently 30,000 naira cannot fill his vehicle, so he had to drop it and then go on.
That's over 100%
yeah,
increase.
fact.
Yeah.
And, you know, another person was lamenting about the fact that they run on gen, the light is not constant, and in a day they'll probably spend like 2,500 naira on electricity, basically. And I know I've also had that situation too, whereby sometimes I would wonder and say, what's the way forward? Because there's no increase in salaries and, you know, all of that. So how are you ladies coping, really, on this?
God's grace.
So we always say,
God's grace is
You know,
sufficient.
Nigerians have a way. They'll always find a way, like we said earlier. So you think outside the box as it
Or
is.
destroy the box.
The box does not
how
go
do we
in the
destroy
box.
the box in this situation?
Well, I feel we just have to be creative and
Yes.
also slam
Where you feel you need
Yeah.
to drive, because sometimes using some of these means is more expensive.
More stressful.
And stressful. So you think, you calculate, okay, if I'm going somewhere, is it better for me to drive or to take public transportation? That is what you have to do at this point. Then you calculate. And it's more about strategizing.
I think it's even still cheaper for me to drive. But right now, you have to be 1,001% important to me before I get into that car. So,
Yes, wherever you're
right
going
now, it's not
very
important, it's not urgent, it's not necessary, it can wait.
Yes, that's
Go on
it.
Zoom.
There's some meetings that shouldn't be physical. It should just be Zoom. Even a
Right.
text. Who waste my time?
Okay, so I have the story on the Southeast losing 4 trillion naira to sit at home in 2 years. Now, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, that's Benjamin Kalu, was talking about this. You know, for me, it's about the fact that 4 trillion naira has been lost. At a critical time like this, where a lot of persons are looking for how to make monies, how to improve on their businesses, sit at home, it's been enforced. Yes, they have an agitation, but then forcing people to stay at home, their livelihood, you're trying to agitate for something you say is for the best interest of these people, yet you are forcing them to sit at home. How can they thrive? How can businesses improve? So what are you doing at the end of the day? Is it in their best interest or to their detriment? 4 trillion naira is a huge sum. 2 years, we know how that could have transformed lives. Now, this is aside the lives that have been lost.
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's a sad one. Do you have any other story here? Or you wanted to talk?
Yeah, I just wanted to, react to that story because at this point, I think the Constitution should be amended and there should be an inclusion of a referendum if a particular region wants to stay on their own. Because at this point...
I think we have passed that point.
I think so too.
We have
think
passed
so
that
too.
point.
Are you sure? Because I think we should choose the lives of people being lost over this...
See, there are different ways to agitate, right? You do not have to take lives. You do not have to destroy property because it's difficult to build.
These people know. They know that it is a very wicked thing. Yes, harsh method, hard
Approach
measure.
is harsh.
Exactly, but they're still doing it.
No, but
at
are
the
they
end of the
doing
day,
it? Are they
what
doing
we
it?
talking about?
The people who they are doing it for, did they give consent?
Because if you ask some of these people, like people from this region, some of them are not even for this agitation.
That's what we are
People
saying.
are fighting
Yeah.
for.
We are saying
that
the
we
same
don't want
thing.
to go.
We're saying the same thing. So
In
it's
different
not about
ways.
the inclusion.
It's
I think it's
beyond
beyond
the interest
that's why we
of
need
a
that
little
referendum,
collective
so that it can
out of a majority.
That's why we need that referendum, so that it can be clear, because we are just assuming now. We don't have the raw facts and numbers to say that, okay, this amount of people, this percentage of people over these ones want to go or want to stay. So that referendum will give us a clear picture. If they want to go, they should go. Yeah, I don't think it would. I don't think this that region staying on their own would affect the...
You are thinking.
I don't think so, because I don't know what the region brings to the table. I don't know what they bring to the table at this point. So if they feel that they can stand on their own, yes, they should stand on their own.
To say something.
So
I feel they should have a
Because
better
it's
way of
tiring.
expressing their agitation.
That's what I believe.
There's a problem with this approach, and I'm now asking myself how many other regions will come up with some kind of threat to say, if you don't do this, we won't do that. We wouldn't have a unified nation.
Yes.
This referendum might not be the solution now. I agree to that. We have gone past
that.
Yes, so we need them to reason.
Okay. Yeah, because of time. Let us move to the next paper.
Unfortunately, time is up.
I don't want to take this story.
Time is up. She was doing Solidarity Forever. So
I was looking forward to the review of the Vanguard papers.
what story is that?
The Shoyinka story.
Okay.
I love it. I love it. So it says Shoyinka at 89, spending time with young writers. Yeah. So a couple of people went to see him, and then they had this interview. And he shared how he became a good writer. So he's known as a playwright. And for him, it's beyond just learning to write. And something very interesting I picked from the stories, He has advised parents to learn to tell stories as against just having their children read. So everybody should create time to tell their children stories. And we should start to look for ways of building word vocabs in the house. Every time you see a word that is unfriendly, a word that you just sounds ambiguous, look for the meaning, do a role play in the house with that word. So he's saying it's not about exposing, writing about your culture, being popular, being famous. It has a lot to do with each individual becoming a word guru. Yeah.
And that's a fine
Happy birthday to him.
Newspaper headlines, happy birthday to him. There's no one who would not say Benu Kongi, as he is called. Kongi.
Yeah, Kongi.
Happy birthday to him.
Thank you, Baba. Happy birthday to you, sir.
All right. Next, we discuss our hot topic. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Right, thank you for staying with us. So today we will be looking at how to forgive and heal completely. This stemmed from the story of a Nigerian man who cheated on his wife 3 months after their wedding and is now seeking advice as his wife is taking revenge on him, according to him. She is using her ex-boyfriend to frustrate him. He said he had begged and cried after he broke the wedding vows, but that the wife insists that she is no longer interested in the marriage. What are your thoughts on this? Can a broken heart be fixed? That's the question. And how can one forgive a cheating partner without holding grudges? Join the conversation and call us on 081-0764-1679 or 090-241-63440 or tweet to us at TVC Connect using the hashtag #YourViewOnTVC. Ladies.
Can I go first? The way my body's peppering me.
Why is your body peppering?
The way it's doing me.
Okay, so let's hear how it's doing you.
So I feel people do not understand when we say marriage. It's all about the wedding. My wedding will cost 2.5 million. My wedding will cost 10 million. So
it's their budget now.
They don't really understand that wedding and marriage are two different things.
So should we not have a budget if we have the money to spend it?
I don't know if I'll be a good counselor, because for me, let's not even talk about the money for the wedding.
Okay.
Let's talk about the alignment of values.
Interesting.
Because, there's some young guys. Let me take myself for an instance. I'm very, very career-oriented, career-motivated. Anything that would push career is what I'm after. Now, my husband would be someone who likes family.
Okay.
All right? So now imagine if I'm thinking career, my husband is thinking family, and we get married. Even if it's not a cheating issue, there will be problem. So this, for me, I feel like when these people decided they were going to get married, this is one conversation they ought to have had. How many children do you want to have? How many children do you think we should have? It's not about you or me, that's one. Then number two is this cheating issue. How many people can stick to this cheating issue? So I feel like if they had had that conversation.
So if I'm getting you correctly, they should have discussed if you cheat
on me,
how should I react?
How am I going to cope with this? Or how do I get out of this? Because this forgiveness issue, I think, is personality-based. Some people, maybe the flags, and maybe sometimes the sands will forgive. But before choleric, we forgive. Before melancholic, we forgive. You can't blame me for holding on so tightly. So I feel like if you know the kind of partner you're with, you will not wake up tomorrow and say, and be crying. Because I'm listening to him say, it's just 3 months is too early for you to hurt me so much.
Is there any time that is too late to cheat?
3 months is too early for you to do this, because 3 months is enough time for me to say, are you sure I want to continue the rest of my life like with you? So I'm not trying to.
You should have thought about that before you got into it.
So that's why I said conversations, because if you marry someone who is very, very someone who finds it very difficult to let go, and 3 months into the marriage, you do this, everybody will just tell you, give her time. Because even if it's not your life, I mean, it takes her time to get over things. So I feel for the guy. I don't think another woman's happiness is in the hand of a man, or a woman's happiness is in the hand of another man. So I feel for the guy, this part of she's going back to her ex-boyfriend. But I feel so much more for the lady. Is there a way to forgive and move away from it? Maybe people needs counsel. Maybe people should just rally around and help us see that you need to make your choice now. But is it difficult? 3 months into the marriage, Veronica, it's very tough. So these guys should stop crying and shouting. Exactly. It's very tough.
I agree with what she said, because, you know, cheating is a very sensitive issue. And it is a deal breaker for most people in relationships and marriages. So it is also a very tricky issue that it's difficult to, or let's say it's challenging to advise someone on how to react to a cheating partner. But my own worry is 3 months into your marriage, that 3 months, your band is even still shining. You are still getting used to the fact that people are calling you.
I'm no longer we're now two.
Exactly.
So I'm accepting you in. And then you do this.
You're still realizing, you're still getting used to the fact that, oh, somebody's calling you a married man or a married woman. You're still trying to figure out, oh, you have access to this whole person only to you. 3 months is still that processing phase. And then you go ahead to cheat.
Maybe he didn't process it well.
That's why you face it.
That's why I like what the woman is doing to him. Yes, I think it is.
Maybe not an ex.
Wait, no.
Let me hear her, please.
I think I like what the woman is doing to him because he needs to understand that there are consequences for every action. The fact that...
And 2 wrongs can make a right. Is that what you're saying?
Sometimes you need to treat people's mess up. I don't want to use the other words. You need to
pay them back in their own coin.
Well,
you need to teach them that you do not treat me in this manner. If you do not send that strong message, it will just mean you setting a precedent.
That what you can do, I can do also.
No, if you do not treat it immediately, you are setting a precedence for a situation that might be very, that can put your marriage in jeopardy. Exactly, because you cannot cheat on me and then now still tell me how to react. You do not have the right to tell me how to react. So give me the time to react and vent. I'm not saying I'm not going to forgive you in the long run. If you check this woman, she might not even be doing anything with the ex. She's just using the man to torment.
We don't know.
Exactly. I'm saying probably. Yes, exactly. So just to make him feel that there's something at stake. So if you do this thing, so before he does it again, he will remember what he went through in the first 3 months that he cheated and the wife cheated. So I think...
She has said that she's done. Oh, let's remember she's saying that she's done.
Well, if she's someone that cannot handle a cheating partner or has an unforgiving spirit, or she thinks that the marriage can no longer work for her, I think it's best that she just, takes her leave. Because I don't know, because she's saying you cannot really tell people how to react to these kind of situations.
And Veronica, that's why I said
so let her
important to have...
At some point, her mind might calm down, but this is still that venting period for her. So let her vent, let her release. In fact, maybe she should even take like a holiday. Just step away, just to re-emphasize.
Stepping away is different from when you have found solace in your ex. That's what this is. So
how are you sure she has actually found solace?
But that's what the
story says.
The
now.
story says she's using her ex-boyfriend to frustrate him. That's what the story says. So we don't know to what extent.
I want to hear Toby first. Let me hear Toby.
Okay, so first I would say that you can't legislate how someone is. So the fact that you do something wrong does not mean that I've begged this person, I've cried, this person is meant to forgive me. It takes time, and like you mentioned, Mrs. Pash, people's personality allows for those things to happen quickly for some, and for some others, they take their time to do these things. So you can't legislate. Your own is that you've committed a crime. You that crime in quotes, right? Yes. You that did that thing, you're supposed to already have expected that anything that comes out from this situation, you're a full-grown man. You're a full-grown human being, and that's the same thing I would say, speaking generally. We probably would think that the things we're doing right now does not have any consequence, or the consequences are like anything that comes. But most times we realize that what comes is usually greater than what we expected to come. And for the lady, we all make mistakes, right? But we know in marriage there are some mistakes that are not heard of. Because if you take this matter to any length, the guy would always be blamed. And so for the lady, really, I say 2 wrongs don't make it right. So the fact that she's using her boyfriend again to torment him, because you see, because
let her show him pepper.
See,
let her show him pepper. Now that he's seen the pepper.
We're in the pepper them gang. And you know, for women,
you should make pepper soup out of the pepper. She's showing you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, soup.
When life gives you lemon, you make
lemonade. So she's making lemonade.
She's showing him pepper.
So
you should do pepper soup.
You should come down and suck it in.
And suck it in.
Just let her vent.
You see,
you
see the danger of that.
Present the matter again. You have to keep begging until her.
The danger of that is that
to heal quickly.
The danger of that is that if she's not somebody like that by default, by the time the matter eases out in her heart, she will find out that the person she has become is very different from the person she knew herself to be.
Yes, that's true.
So she may have strayed away so far that by the time she's like, what did this guy even do? She will realize that the things she has done has been so bad. And she may even find it difficult to forgive herself.
One thing we don't know again is if this is the first time this guy is doing this thing.
No, let's stay within the confines of the story. Don't let your imagination not go wild, because obviously your imagination is going wild. But I am looking closely at what he's saying. Yes, you cheated 3 months into the marriage. You have cried, you have begged her. I'm seeing pride somewhere.
No. Why?
Hang on, no. Yes, I'm seeing pride somewhere. Because if you can just put them in one case saying, I have apologized. You don't have to tell me what you did, that you cried. How am I sure your cry is being genuine? Yes.
Yes.
How am I sure that your tears is from a place of genuineness? And why are you telling me you cried? That's the question I'm asking. Do you have to tell us that you cried?
Yes.
Yes. You know, men do not like to show these things or say that they are crying or show that they are crying, but you went ahead to say it. It tells me there's a place in you that you are not showing genuineness in what you have done. I apologized to her. I'm fine with her. I begged her. How did you beg?
Maybe that's his own way.
Approach.
Yeah.
Approach is important. How did you do these things? Because if you approach someone, the manner of approach will go a long way to someone else reasoning with you.
Yeah.
But we'll talk more on this when we return from the break. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
All right, thank you for staying with us. We are looking at our hot topic. Let me just give you a recap of what the story is about. Now, there is a guy who said that 3 months after their marriage, he cheated on his wife and is now seeking advice on how to heal and forgive, because his wife is taking revenge on him. And according to him, she's using her ex-boyfriend to frustrate him. And he says that he has begged and cried after breaking the marriage vows, but his wife insists that she's no longer interested in the marriage. So what are your thoughts? Can a broken heart be fixed? That's the question we're asking. And how can one forgive a cheating partner. Join the conversation and call us on 081 0764 1679 or 090 241 63440, or you can Twitter us using @TVC Connect using the hashtag Your View on TVC. Now, before we went on the break, I was talking about approach. How you approach a matter goes a long way to tell us if you are ready to really seek forgiveness, if you are genuine with your seeking forgiveness, and then the person can decide to forgive you. In marriage, anything can happen, right? And how you approach things, it's what keeps the marriage or divide the marriage, if I may use that word. And so, for me, yes, they are young, 3 months in marriage, so this is coming as a blow to the lady, way too early into the union. But what has been the relationship like before they got married? What was it like? Did he show that he's not that kind of person and suddenly found himself in a situation where he couldn't but fall into the action, unfortunately, and that is why he's now seeking forgiveness from the lady? Or is the lady saying, you are fond of doing this thing, this time around I'm going to show you, Pepe, that two can play this game. You think it's only you that understand this thing. But does that make it right? Does that solve the problem? Because if you say, okay, I am no longer interested in this marriage, and you say you want to leave and you move over to someone else, how are you certain that that same person that you are moving to will not cheat on you as well? For how long are you going to keep moving? Yes, you want to heal. Is that the process of healing? Revenge. Is revenge taking you on the path of healing? I don't think so.
No, but I don't think so too.
Right.
Okay, but I have a different twist to this. So I'm asking myself, this marriage is about 3 months. I feel like both of them need to really sit down and have a strong conversation in case they have not had one. Because maybe there's a sex problem that this guy is unable to tell his wife. 3 months is too soon. So when a woman finds out that her husband is cheating, there's this deep feeling of rejection. You just feel like, is it that I'm inadequate? Is it that there's something about me
what
that
is that person
not,
giving
you know,
that
what,
I haven't
so,
done or I can't
because it comes to you like a blow,
right,
you just judge yourself so much. So,
yeah, we have Abubakar on the line calling from Bariga. Abubakar, good morning. Thank you for joining us. You can go ahead with your contribution. Abubakar, are you there? We can hear a sound, but we can't hear your voice. So you can call us again to join the conversation. Go ahead.
Okay, so I feel like they need to have that conversation, maybe with a counselor, maybe alone. They need to really, instead of just getting all angry, he cheated on me, it's important to go into the basics. Why do you think this happened? Is there something I'm supposed to do that I'm not doing?
Why must it be the woman that is seeing
you know why? You know why?
Is there something she did not do?
Because of the approach of certain women,
yeah,
it might be tough for the man to say there's a problem with the quality or the quantity or the style. Sometimes those conversations bring healing to the marriage. And it's not very easy to say to your spouse because she might take offense. She might feel like, why did you
That's why I said approach.
So I feel they need to sit down and have that conversation, because where communication is removed from a marriage, that marriage just dies naturally. So it's important that they have that conversation. Number two, yes, the lady trying to maybe end the marriage, I also feel counsel again. So we shouldn't assume she's hurting and saying maybe the ex-boyfriend will help, because that will just compound the problem. The lady needs to hear it from me that the ex-boyfriend might compound the problem. So even if it gives a temporary solution, I mean, after
There's a reason why he's an ex, right?
Yeah.
Right. There's a reason why he's an ex. Yeah. So going back to seek solace in someone you left, there was a reason why you left him in the first place. So
probably just
he will just compound issues.
Compound the issue. But this guy should not always, let's assume it's the first time, because the story doesn't tell us if he's been doing it or, you know. But I feel every guy out there should not assume once you do something and you say you're sorry, then that's all. That's unfair. on ladies. Exactly. So I'm not saying it has to be a revenge or there must be a very strong consequence. But you can, if this girl says she's forgiving you and she's not back to what she was before, that would be worse. There's so many women that are broken today because they try to move away from a hurt and they never really did.
Actually. All right, we have Fedeko on the line calling from Ijebu. Fedeko, are you there? Good morning.
Yes, please. Good morning, everyone there.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Fedeko. I'm not calling from Ijebu. I'm calling from Ijebu.
Oh, Ijebu, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I want to contribute to the issue of grant.
Yes.
I want to look at it from two angles.
Okay.
First, are you sure there is love between both of them? Because the reason why I ask is this. It's not a good thing for the man to cheat on his wife.
All right.
Based on the fact that they just got married, just barely 3 months. If it's a situation where the man has this lady outside before, which we don't know, because he doesn't, telling people this.
Yeah.
If at the end of the day that this very person, as a guy that I say he has dated this lady, he might not really have interest, in the lady in question. That doesn't mean that he doesn't love his wife. Then again, in the area of the woman, as she said that she wants to, fight the man's back because she has a boyfriend. Her ex-boyfriend. That means she herself, she's not fully in love with the man. Because if she's in love with the man, for the fact that, I think it was maybe it was a forced marriage. Because
she really might just be hurting that someone she loves did something to her. Fedeko.
I think we lost him.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
All right. This is expected from every woman out there. But it's not enough reason for her to say she wants to fight with her ex. She's fighting the present husband with her ex. So I will advise, if there's no love between you, I think it's an opportunity for them to just split. Let the woman just forget about it. Because if the man is a cheating husband, he's going to continue for life. And he's going to give this lady a big problem. Then again, she too should look at it from a spiritual angle. If she has the spirit of marry and remarry, this is where the enemy wants to break her. She should look.
Hey, Fedeko. Oh, I would have loved to hear that aspect.
That's the
spirit of marry and remarry, right? But yes, there is a spiritual side to everything. But this aspect, let's leave the spiritual side for now and focus on what is going on. He has mentioned some things, love. Did they genuinely love each other, or it was just infatuation that they felt was love, and then they went into the marriage? Because when you say you genuinely love does not hurt, some would say. But then it depends on how you see love. Love means different things to different people, like we often say on this table. So how they interpret love may not be in the manner that you could say, I will ensure that I control myself and not hurt you. I will pay that sacrifice of holding my emotions and focusing on you. Whoever you marry, it's your decision that you want to marry this person. You had an array of persons. You decided, I want to love this person. And so perhaps they haven't gotten to that point of understanding the responsibilities that comes with marriage. Absolutely. That when you decide to marry somebody, you have chosen and decided intentionally to stick with this person no matter what it is. But we know how our society is right now.
I think the lady should weigh the pros and the cons. I don't think she should, as much as I'm in support of her showing him Pepe a bit, but dragging it for too long might cause a forever damage in the marriage. I also do not believe in throwing the the baby
with the bath
bath
water. All right, hold on.
Wait.
Okay. Hang on. We have Shola calling from Ikorodu. Shola, good morning. You can go ahead with your contribution. Yeah.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning to the ladies in the studio. Yeah. You see, the first actually spoke on most the things once. But the question is first, is there a marriage vow?
Is there what?
Marriage vow.
Okay.
Is there marriage vow? Marriage vow. Are you hearing?
Yes, we can hear you now. Can you speak up a bit?
All right. I said, is there marriage vow?
Okay.
So if there is marriage vow, both of them need to consider it. Then number two, and the last one I said, there is no love. Because if there is love, it's not enough because your husband has cheated on you, and the next thing for you is to go back to your ex. Also a cheater.
Well, your line is muffled, so we couldn't really get the meat of what you were saying, but you mentioned there is no love. If
From
not
both parties.
from both parties,
Yes.
else they would have...
If there was love from the woman, the ex-boyfriend should not be the next point of call.
Yes, perhaps that was the easiest person
So
for
if
her
the
to
tables were
find.
turned, would we say that the next point of call shouldn't have been the ex-girlfriend?
So before we go there, let me finish that.
Wrap up your thoughts.
That line of thoughts. So I'm not for throwing the baby away with the bathwater. So I think she should, weigh her options, because I don't think the person she decided to marry is an entirely bad man. The fact that someone cheats does not make them a bad person entirely. So weigh your options. Think of the things. Think of the things that you actually love in this person.
The spirit is weak, but the flesh is...
Exactly. The flesh is willing, but the spirit is weak. Exactly. So this man, if this man is an amazing man to you, he loves you, he respects you, he carries your matter on his head, but this cheating thing is just a weakness that you think you can help him manage, I think you should still consider the marriage and not just, throw it away like that. But before you do that, choose yourself first. If you think that this is a deal breaker, you can no longer go ahead, well, I am not in a place to advise you to break up your marriage, but you choose what is best for you. Your mental health is also very key. There's some people
choose herself first.
Yes. Yes.
Wait, now we'll continue.
Yes, like she
should go on a break.
On a break, okay.
Thank you. We need to go on a break. When we return, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
All right, thank you for staying with us. We've been looking at the matter of how can a broken heart heal, looking at the issue that we put forward where a man 3 months into his marriage, he cheated on his wife, and the wife is saying that she wants to leave. Now, for me, I would say that for both of them, healing is something that everyone needs to do to move forward with anything. She has to look inward to see how she can heal, then decide if it is something, if the marriage is something she wants to continue with or not. And how does she begin this process of healing? Find a place. If you want to cry yourself out and ensure that you get that weight off you totally. And then you can really think through if this is something you want to continue with. Seek counsel, seek help where it is necessary, therapists, psychologists, whoever. Just speak with someone that can help you think through the process of your marriage. Some persons do not understand the responsibility that comes with marriage, and so they just
Let it go.
Jump in,
wedding and go,
and then think that it is all rosy, but there are responsibilities that comes with marriage, and it has to begin with being responsible. Right, Mrs. Fash, yes.
Yeah, so I'd
Quickly.
like to say to the lady that, okay, 3 months for me is too early to want to leave a marriage. It's like killing an ant or a mosquito with a hammer.
Right.
So I really think it's too early for you to say, only if there's something else that we don't know about.
Yeah.
So that's something that she has to think about.
All right.
And secondly, I also want to say to the man that it's important that whatever commitment he's making now, he needs to find other reasons to keep it beyond his wife.
Theodore from Abuja is on the line. Theodore, good morning. Quickly, give us your contribution.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Okay, let me take it from, but first of all, let me reiterate these 3 planks. There is a marriage where there is a breach, where there has happened a breach of the vow of marriage. There is repentance on the part of the man who actually committed the breach. And then there is revenge on the supposedly victim of that breach. Now, I just want to look at it this way. First of all, we need to really take a look again at what is marriage in the first place. The fundamental issue that are involved in marriage is that two become one. And this is built on law. And law we have been told, particularly if this vow was taken within the church or the church environment. And law says, forgive it. You do not find fault. And above all, the fundamental pillar of marriage is for better, for worse. For better, for worse, in sickness and in health, in poor and in rich. Does not only pertain to when your bank accounts are low or when they are high. It doesn't only come into play when you have malaria or when you have kwashiorkor. It is not only when the wife cannot have a child or when the man is not strong enough to also make a woman have a child. For better, for worse, relate to all the circumstances of marriage. And I will tell you, cheating, infidelity, is also part of those issues that were anticipated when marriage is built on the basis of for better, for worse. Therefore, the commitment of a breach, whether it's a breach of cheating, whether it is a breach of neglecting your wife, all come under that consideration of for better, for worse. A victim or the other party who is on the receiving end is bound by his own vow or her own vow to forgive. It is part of the binding factor of marriage. You are bound to forgive. You are bound to understand. But not to say that it should be an encouragement of the other party to continue to commit.
Yeah.
And that is when the other party is ready to be responsible.
Absolutely.
Isn't it? The other party has to understand that you have a responsibility to your partner not to continue. Yes, forgiveness is key in marriage. Marriage is not a friendship of two, whatever, but it is something that you must be committed to, and deliberately so.
Intentional, yeah.
Intentional. You have to be intentional about it to ensure that everything, there are difficulties, but you are ready to work together to ensure that you rise above every challenge. You are not to work at cross purposes. That's what we are talking about here.
For better,
yes,
for better.
It's she says for better, for better.
And you're working on this for better.
You have just
better.
knocked out everything I want to say.
So the context here just gives us a wider room for assumption. So if the spouse in question, or if this is a Muslim family, for instance, now, if this man does this, I mean, their religion permits it. So I think because we're speaking...
Their religion permits cheating?
No, to marry more than in
Oh,
the
okay.
long run. Yes.
Okay.
Marry more than one wife.
It
And
starts
maybe
with
it
cheating.
starts with things like this most of the time, right? So if you know your spouse and you understand that his religion or his circumstances around permits that he does things like this, you won't be surprised if issues like this come up. So, like you always say, communicate even before marriage.
Yeah.
So you know his values. If it doesn't align with yours, please let him go. Rather than facing this after marriage.
Right. Bottom line.
Life after marriage.
Bottom line, if you want to get into marriage, for those who are looking to get into marriage, have conversations about critical issues. And then know that you are going in to be responsible to your partner as is expected, because there is a reason why you both came together. And then for the man, this should be a lesson for him to ensure that he ensures that beyond speaking it, he shows that he's remorseful and would not tow this path again if he wants the marriage. Then he can speak with the woman, find who she respects, take them there, let them cancel. You guys go together
and beg and do community begging.
Beg again.
And buy a huge gift. Don't just beg. Sorry,
all right.
You must buy something. Big, huge.
We need to quickly move on now to our next conversation. And this is talking about English language, how critical it is. Though English is our lingua franca, as has been said, but over the years, it has been a major problem for many Nigerians during formal or informal conversations, and most worrisome during examinations, either internal or external exams like WAEC, NECO, JAMB, GCE. And this is what we are going to look at today. Some will say that English language is not my mother tongue.
I don't have to bother.
Don't disturb me. Let me speak what I can speak as it is. But then it's critical because it has been reported that the last JAM exercise, a lot of persons performed woefully with regards to English language, and it's become worrisome as to what really is the issue. Is English language that difficult to comprehend that students are finding it so complex for them to unravel and respond to? Or is it our curriculum that is not giving them the needed information or ingredients such that they will know what to do when they are faced with these examinations? And to help us better understand what is going on, we have a guest that will be joining us. And he is a professor of English language from the University of Lagos, Chimdi Maduagu. Good morning. Thank you for joining us, Prof. Are you there? Can you hear me? All right. We hear our guest is here to join us, but we will quickly go on this break. When we return, we'll have our guest to join us. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
All right, earlier before we went on the break, we told you about English language, how it is that it's our lingua franca, and over the years it's been a major problem for many Nigerians. And that's in the last JAMB examination, a lot of persons were said not to have excelled when we looked at the result. And that joining us in the studio now is a professor of English language from the University of Lagos. He is Professor Chimdi Maduagu. Good morning, sir. It's good to have you on the program.
Good morning. It's good to be here. Good morning.
Yes, when we talk about English language, a lot of persons will wonder why it has become such a difficult subject or a difficult nut to crack. Help us understand, is it that we are not understanding it, or is it the curriculum that is the problem, or are we just being lazy? Is English language so difficult to understand or comprehend?
I'm not surprised, because I also wondered,
right,
especially when I was young, why English should be difficult.
Right.
Okay. It's just a reflection of life. It's the only, or perhaps the most acceptable medium through which we can see ourselves, hear ourselves, feel ourselves as a people at different levels, at the individual level, at the interpersonal level, at the group level, and at the general level. So all these things put pressure on how we have to use the language. How do we use it? Okay, for instance, at the intrapersonal, I think in English. Okay, so I'm going to use it, when I think, and when I relate with you as a person, depending on my relationship with you, vertical, horizontal, how I have to use it. And then when I come to a group, I also have to know or kind of devise how it ought to be used. And when I now become kind of very significant and visible, and I have to communicate with a group, I also have to use it. So all these things are put in place inadvertently by those who plan curriculum, by those who plan the study of the language.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
So.
You speaking just reminds me of my childhood days. You know, my mom was an English teacher. She's retired now.
Okay.
So we had the opportunity of accessing the marking schemes for JAMB, WAEC and all that. So we were able to see that, you know, things like oral English are like a major criteria such that you're able to pronounce your words properly. But we see that language interference seems to be a major issue, such that, for example, we'll say, instead of saying church, we'll say shush, you know, for some parts of Nigeria. And some people would want to say, if they want to say Veronica, they'll say Veronica. So things like that. Do you think that there are concerns, basically, and it affects the scores when we look at English language as a whole? If language interference is a major reason for the drop in scores of English language as an examination?
Of course it is. And, you know, you're just taking an aspect of this interference at the phonological level, at the spoken level. But the interference comes in different stages, from different levels. There is also meaning interference.
Exactly.
Okay? Okay, so we're talking about the structure, the content. They're there. Of course they interfere. They affect performance in English, you know. But beyond that, interference, performance at the oral level also varies from variety to variety, level to level. And it depends on the variety that is acceptable and accepted. In Nigeria, we have a target, an ideal variety that we aim at, which is called derisive pronunciation, RP. But that is the standard British English. And it's also different from the varieties that they speak in America, standard American English. The standard British English is similar to the standard the English spoken in a place like Australia, but the standard American variety is also similar to that spoken or used in a place like Canada. So we have now all other countries who use English, the Commonwealth countries, developing their own varieties. And then the peculiarities of these things, of their native languages, are kind of considered in the usage of the English language. We have the Nigerian variety. But then Nigerian variety is also getting into isoglasses, other aspects. Like if an Igbo person speaks the Nigerian variety, you're likely to know. And very soon it's going to develop the Eastern Nigerian variety, or the Northern Nigerian variety, or the Southern, or the Southwestern Nigerian variety, Western Nigerian variety. It's coming to that. Like we have in America, the different regional varieties of English, the Southern and the North Central, the Midwest, the Western accents in the United States. So all these things are put into consideration. However, there is meaning. And once meaning is conveyed, the first goal of language usage is achieved.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so still building on that thoughts, you know, phonetics is a crucial part of grammar that I believe students feel a lot. So do you think that, we've already established that this is a problem because of the disparity between the Nigerian accent and the British accent. So do you think that we can strike a balance between these two accents and then modify the curriculum to fit, such that a student's ability to identify this word is enough for them to demonstrate their understanding of it, instead of them communicating and pronouncing the word with a British accent. How do we modify, the current realities to, encourage these students to pass better or do better in their exams?
Let me share a very brief but deeply revealing story. I think this happened in 2004. I had gone into a class to teach in a historically black university, college in the United States. And I had just been employed to teach English. I was going to be the first non-American black to teach English. And I got into class. I was supposed to teach college composition and what we call here expository writing. So I got into class to teach expository writing. And I stood before the class and said, okay, my business with you is to teach expository writing, and everybody was looking at me. So I started talking, getting the introduction, the way I am used to teaching. And everybody was looking at me. The next I knew was people got distracted. They had their cell phones. I wasn't communicating. So I got really disturbed. It was my first day. It was kind of trial. I went to the board and wrote expository. One young lady said, "Oh, expository." And that means they never really understood what I said by expository. See, I was so belittled by myself. So I had to come back and then re-strategize on how to teach. Now, these are the things we're talking about. But right now, we have the varieties developing their own aspects of the language. For example, today, the Nigerian English phonetics and phonology has been developed. So we have specialists who teach Nigerian phonetics and phonology the way we speak in Nigeria, trying to aggregate and average the performances in spoken English in Nigeria and documenting them. These things obviously require a lot of work and a lot of effort, but most importantly, funding to go from different parts of Nigeria to get all these things and then to average them and aggregate how and where and how it can be used by all Nigerians and become comprehensible and intelligible to everyone in the average. So that is one. Now, developing a variety is not an easy thing to do. Language specialists, those we call language engineers, go to the field, take up some kind of undertakings, collect performances in English here and there, and try to say, look, this is the way it goes, this is the way it goes, this is the way we'll accept it. Let me illustrate with the environmentalist, because the language specialist is also an environmentalist. So if you are building like this complex right here now, you can make prescriptions and say, these are walkways. Okay, these are these. But the truth is, when people start using it, they'll create their own walkways. Okay, and the question now we ask is, isn't it better to allow them to use before you follow their walkways and create the walkways that they use? Or to prescribe a walkway that nobody will eventually use because they will devise their own means. So language is also like that. And when you see the dictionary is not really prescriptive. The dictionary is a collection of the current usage. And from time to time, it is updated. Okay. So the problems we have, like we're going to be looking at, will be how this language is taught, how this language is learned. Is emphasis going to be on teaching, or is the emphasis going to be on learning? Is the emphasis on the teacher or on the learner? If you ask me, so far, emphasis has been on teaching and the teacher. Not much has been done, or a lot has been, but not as commensurate to what has been done. I mean about the learner as vis-a-vis the teacher. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. seems like you took the words out of my mouth. So, sir, I saw a breakdown of the last term, the highest scorer in JAMB, and I found out that she had 90, 90, 90. So I was asking myself,
60
how can somebody have
English.
97 in chemistry, 96, maybe 95, and then English is 60-something? And I only soon realized that most people had it that way. English was probably the least for most people. So I'm wondering, is it a problem with the teachers? Is it possible that the teachers that currently take English language have a need gap that is yet to be met? Is it a problem with the marking scheme? Do we assume, I was not as fortunate as Toby to have seen the marking scheme. So I don't know where we need to pay the most attention. For those of us that read accounting, we do maths, you have your formula, you go. Or do we assume children underrate English language? Is that why it seems like the rates are declining every time? And what can we do? How can we help our teenagers, our preteens do a lot better in English language?
When I was growing up, I'm sure my generation is different from yours, and your generation is different from this one now. Yes, but we have this global generation, you know, amongst us. We intersect. When I was growing up, English was highly revered, respected. Those who spoke English as children were highly respected. Okay. But these days, everybody speaks English, virtually everybody. Even in the villages, they start them more on English than the native language. So most times they just think it's what they pick up on the streets. And you see them going on with it. My observation is where this act, I won't say the extreme, where this problem begins will be at the lower level, at the nursery, primary level. Oh my God, they introduce bad English there. You know. There, the emphasis is on communication, communicate. A child will call you, he will tell you, he have come.
Yeah.
You know what that child means, and you say, okay, I have seen him. And he grows up, or she grows up with that kind of expression. And it becomes difficult to expunge that from the child. But even if you do eventually, from time to time, it trickles in. Okay. And also, what we refer to as interference here now, you know, from the native language keeps coming up, because at the very early level, it was ignored. As they're growing up, it is still there. Even in the universities today, we still have people who write. When they want to write river, they write liver. L-I-V-E-R-E, okay. And it's up to you to understand. If I'm grading English, it will be wrong. If you're grading accounting, you will understand and go on. If you're grading chemistry, you will understand and go on, okay? So that's why they may not score high in English. Now, we're not, these days, the system of assessment and testing does not permit you as an accounting teacher to start grading English, the grammar. So you just go straight to your point. Does not really allow you or give you the opportunity as a biology teacher to start grading the expressions. You just go to your point and grade it. But as an English teacher, your responsibility is to grade expressions, and you have to grade in terms of the grammar and in terms of the content, the critical thinking, and all those things put together. And when you finish with that, you find out that the student is really low. Part of this is teachers really are doing their best to the extent that they are equipped with.
Right. If you could just hold the thought. Okay. We initially had a caller on the line, but we lost that call, so you can go ahead with your thoughts.
Right, okay. Right. I was talking about the teacher now.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, teachers of English, like we teach teachers of English.
Okay.
Okay. And we know that we teach them well. I'm not, you know, and they are in between two schools or faculties. They go to education to get on with the methodologies and plans and systems of teaching, and they come to the language to get the content of what they teach. And they are supposed to be gaining from experiences of both instructors, or both sets of instructors. But then, the point now is, most times, we tell them who they are. Tell them how to get equipped, and they learn all these things, and they have little time getting to know who they are teaching, and getting to know how they want to teach them. If we teach you methodology, okay, learning a language, okay, you have to listen, you have to read, right, you have to write, you know, you have to understand, and all those things, we put them down there. Right. Well,
if you could just hold the thought, we have Adeshola calling from Ikorodu. Adeshola, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Go ahead with your contribution. Yes.
Yes, I salute everybody on set. I just want the professor to comment on this question I want to ask. I want him to tell me the difference between phonics for early, Jolly phonics to be precise, or phonics as the case may be, for early childhood education, and phonetics, as well as diction, English diction, for primary and secondary school children, and how it affects English language, particularly phonics for the early childhood learners, for the nursery children, and how it translates to helping English as a subject.
Okay. Did you get the question?
No, I have to.
Okay, thank you. Yes, he talked about phonetics for early childhood, like nursery, and that of primary, secondary, how it helps with English language, how it helps improve English language. I believe that's what he's asking.
Okay.
The difference and how it helps improve.
If I got you right, okay, early childhood, at the beginning, we talk about spoken English. Mm. Okay. We don't really talk in terms of phonetics. And we give them the phonics of the language. That's what they're supposed to learn. And these things are supposed to be conversational. They're not technical. It's when you start getting matured in the use of the language that you will now be introduced to the technicalities, to know that there are symbols which produce certain sounds. But at the early levels, all you know is the syllables that will come together to give you the sounds, and that's the phonics of the language. Okay. It's simplified at that level, and if anyone grows up with it, it's a good and formidable background to how to speak the language. All right? So they don't really need to bother about, the phonetics and all the observations of the symbols, transcriptions, you know it. Yeah. That is like the greatest problem of learners of the language. Okay? Getting to get the international phonetic alphabet, which cuts across all languages. Yeah. Okay. And then getting to put them together to reflect the peculiarities of that particular language that you're studying. Yeah. So the recommendation there and the usual practice is get them to know the sound units in relation to the syllables. Okay, get them to know the stresses. British English stressing is a little more tedious than the stressing in other varieties of English. For example, in the American Standard English, stress the first syllable, the first sound, and get on with the rest. That makes them avoid very long words. You can see their words are really shorter than this. Okay. And, and then the next one he was talking about is diction. Diction is choice of words, Elocution is producing the words. Okay. So when you come to the system of oratory, you choose your words and you know how to produce the words, the right words, and the peculiarities of the right words, the special features or qualities of the right word. And we know the diction of the literary person is going to be different from the diction of the common or ordinary person.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then when it comes to producing the words, the power of oration, the elocution is going to also be different from the enlightened person.
All right.
And then the ordinary person.
If you could just hold the thoughts, we have another caller on the line. Abugu from Mushi. Abugu, you are on air.
You're not prostituting.
Abugu, you're on air. Can you hear me? Unfortunately, we lost that call. I would like for you to harp on meaning. If we need to re-strategize to ensure that we convey meaning that people can comprehend for, if it's examination, comprehension, all of those, such that we can see some level of improvement in not just the scores, but in how we communicate.
Okay. Okay, let me go back to the basics. And we talk in terms of language acquisition from listening, all right, then to speaking, then to reading, and to writing. At the levels of listening, speaking, reading, the tedium is less. But once we get to the level of writing, then a lot of efforts will have to come in. A lot of considerations will have to be made at that level. So it's at that level that meaning becomes very important and essential.
Could you just hold the thought again? Okay. We have Olamide calling from Oshun. Olamide, good morning. Quickly go ahead with your contribution.
Thank you. I'm Olamide from not Olamide.
Olamide.
Yes, I'm originally a teacher of English language.
Okay.
What I believe is that we are not teaching the student the elements that they should know. Spoken English is quite different from written English. You can have students who are able to speak eloquently, but when you come to writing English language, you discover that they do not even know the difference between advice and advice spelling, that which is verb and which is noun. And when we are marking this wrong spelling of advice and advice, which is interchanging verb for it.
All right, allow me to go.
Do we take up his question?
Quickly then,
right.
What we're talking about.
Very interesting approach to it. Okay. When you speak, there are certain words that have a number of meanings that are ambiguous also, which you have to disambiguate when you write. Okay. And there are homonyms also, words which have the same sound but different meanings, and they will have to. For example, students write that all the time. And where are you going to? W-E-R-E instead of W-H-E-R-E. Okay. We were in your house. W-H-E-R-E. Okay. Kind of thing. And then they talk in terms of advice, you know, like he gave the example, one belongs to a different part of speech, the other one a different part of speech, and a lot of them like that. They keep occurring, and the spellings are different. So this means that the teacher of English must know the problem areas. And then these are red flags in teaching and also for the learners of English. If the teacher does not realize this, then there is a problem. So apart from the original syllabus that they follow, they should also conduct their own individual inquiries into the performances of the students. If you know that your students are predominantly not aware of these differences, then concentrate on getting them to pick up these differences.
Because of time, the issue we're talking about before we took the call, talking about we need to pay more attention
to writing.
To writing,
yes. It's also part of what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, when you speak, you are free to, you know, use the words. You are free to pronounce the words. But when you write, you have to know the spelling of the words. Okay, that's one. And when you spell the words, you need to know the correct word to use, word usage. Okay. So when we teach English, we advise that you start teaching from word. Then the parts of the sentence, okay, and then the sentence. And then you go on to teach the paragraph, and then you go on to teach the development of writing. So you must start from the least irreducible level. In fact, we even say start from the letter. Okay.
So do you think we have baked English teachers in the system, and what role do you think remuneration? What role do you think remuneration has to play in getting quality teachers to teach this language?
To tell you the truth, policies have to change, and if we must face the fact, we must concentrate on language development, because that's a lot of problems. You know, do you know today the major problem we have in part of our constitution will be the construction of the constitution. We know they are legal documents; they are constructed by legal draftsmen, but there's a need to have linguistic understanding of what they write. The simple terms of use of mechanics, the punctuations, and then the conjunctions have distorted a lot of meanings in what we do. And
Professor of English from the University of Lagos, Chimdi Maduagu, we have to leave the conversation here now because of our time, unfortunately. It's such a short time, right?
okay.
And the conversation was an interesting and rich, enlightening, and refreshing one, so to speak. But we must thank you for coming on the show this morning. This is where we wrap things up. And life itself is a story, a recollection of events that shape one's journey on earth. Do you want to share parts of these stories with us on Your View? This will enable people to share in your experience and learn valuable life lessons from them. You can also get answers to troubling questions and possible solutions to any challenge you are facing. You can do this anonymously or otherwise. Send such touching stories to us on yourview@tvccommunications.tv. yourview@tvccommunications.tv. Tell us your story today. Share your burning issues with us on Your View on TVC. Well, that's all we can take on the program. Ladies, we have to leave the set now for the beautiful game coming up next. Thank you for being a part of the show. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Stay tuned. Your View